Hello everyone, welcome to our second journaling session. So we are going to begin today. You're going to want to grab your journal, obviously. I'm going to be using my stencils today. I've got my packet of supplies with my tape, my glue, my scissors, my ruler, and my pens. And then I'm going to use my colored pencils. And then I've also got some pictures cut out from my magazine that I'm going to be incorporating. So these all have something in common, and that is that they're falling under the same color scheme. So what that means is that I was looking for colors that are relatively similar or next to each other on the color wheel. They're monochromatic in a way. So I chose a lot of blues and greens and earth tones. So I've got in total 5 pieces of magazine clippings, but you could use more, you could use less. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing. I'm just hoping to inspire you to do something in your journal today. So this is going to be a combination between collage and sort of what we did last week, which is a more writing exercise. So let me show you how I'm going to set up my space. So I'm just going to turn the camera. So I've got my journal, I've got my stencils, and then I'm going to flip to the next page. Last week we did an all about me page. This week is going to be almost more like a diary entry, but it's going to be a 2-page spread. So if you have already chosen some pictures that you might want to use, go ahead and do that. If you have not yet cut up any magazines, you can pause the video and flip through some of your magazines and search for some images that you'd like to use. So I kind of chose a similar nautical look. I've got some water and some words. I also cut out my shapes almost a little bit differently so that I have a variety of things going on in this spread. So I have a circle here, and I did that by tracing a bottle over my magazine so I could get a perfect circle. I also tore these edges around the side because I wanted to have variety or a little bit of difference within my pictures. So this looks like much more rustic than this picture, which has clean edges and a totally different image. So go ahead, and if you haven't already cut out some pictures, go ahead and pause the video so that you can do that. If you'd like to pick out some pictures with a monochromatic color scheme, that is what I did, but you don't have to do what I did. That's just what I like to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab my glue stick. And before you go ahead and put your pictures down, you want to arrange them and figure out what your composition is before you glue them down. Because after you glue them down, they're almost stuck there. Then you'd have to peel it off, and you don't really want to do that. So I like to go like this and see how I like my pictures before I completely commit. So even if I sort of figure it out, I'm definitely going to end up changing it a little bit. So as you can see, I've got them spread out quite a bit because I want to leave space for my writing. There's not too much space, but there's still some space for me to add notes or thoughts on the day or how I'm feeling. So I like this. I know that I have to trim this. It doesn't quite fit in my page, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. It's a little too long. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue things down one picture at a time. So remember, when you're gluing things down, you don't need to use a ton of glue. Just a little bit is better, because then you'll end up with your pages being a little bit bumpy or textured. Ooh, squeaky. So I'm just going to quickly adhere these magazine clippings to my 2-page spread. And often, even after I've chosen where I want them to go, I end up changing it a little bit more. So, and that is okay. That is part of the process, to change your mind about how things are going to look. So for this part, I mentioned that it's partially collage and partially writing your mood or how you're feeling. So I have included prompts for you to choose from if you'd like something to get you started about what you want to write. You do not have to use those prompts, but some of them can be really helpful. It was like your dreams or your biggest fears. Some of those writing prompts will help get you started if you feel stuck, but by no means do you have to use them. You can just write whatever you'd like and treat this like a diary if that's something you would prefer to do. So I am almost done gluing down my pictures, and I've chosen my composition, and then I go in and I change it again because that's just how I roll. And I have one word scrap, and it says live confidently. So sometimes I like to look through magazines and see what words pop out at me, and I look for different fonts and different colors and what the background looks like, and it inspires maybe my mood page. This is sort of like a vision board, which is when you use pictures and images and maybe some doodles to try and show or display a theme or something you'd like to accomplish in the future. There's a variety of ways that you can use this type of journaling, but I have found that I really like this type of journaling. So now that I've got my images glued down, you can see my composition. I might go in and grab some of this washi tape. I really like this washi tape. And you can use that tape in a variety of ways. I sort of like to overlap the tape with some of my collage scraps and almost frame it. Or sometimes I like to rip off a couple pieces and use it to hold down the four corners of my picture. You don't have to do that, but that's just what I like to do. Sometimes I like to create almost like a border or a line of washi tape down the whole page. And I really like tearing the edges for some reason because it looks more authentic to me, more genuine and not so planned. So I'm just gonna grab some of my washi tape, and we all have different colored washi tape, or maybe you don't have any tape at all. I also like using masking tape. Masking tape is the brown colored, light brown or yellow tannish colored tape, and that gives a different effect, but I really like that look as well. So I'm going to use a little bit there, and then maybe just to carry over this pattern to this page, I'm just going to rip off a little scrap and put it in the corner. And when I do that, when I rip off a little bit of this pattern from over here, it kind of creates a dialogue between both of my pages and connects them a little bit more so they don't look so different. So I'm gonna grab my pens, and when looking at my pens, I wanna choose colors that go with my theme or my mood for this spread. So I'm gonna grab this teal colored pen, another greenish teal colored pen, and then maybe like a gray. So before you start writing or doodling, you might want to think about what prompt you'd like to use, or if maybe not any prompt, what you're going to be writing about. That just helps me as a writer figure out where I'm going, a little bit of direction. I could be using some of my stencils to outline some little doodles on my page, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll include some, I could just create a little box right here, and maybe I will write the date. But something also to consider is maybe you want to put this stencil partially covering one of your magazine clippings. That's called overlapping, and that will also help us connect the whole page together and make it seem like it is more incorporated. It's not so different. The pictures and the words are more combined. They don't feel like so choppy or different. So today is June, what day is it? June 12th. So I'm going to do that up here in this box with my doodle pens. I don't know about y'all, but I love these doodle pens. I really like the fine tip. And they write really well. So I'm just gonna write June, and I'm overlapping my words from the magazine clippings. And I'm just including the date. I think it's cool to date your entries because then you can look back and say, oh my goodness, what was I doing in the beginning of the summer? I don't even remember. It feels so long ago. That's what you're going to be thinking in August. So I've got a box here. Maybe I'll include another box over here. I don't know why. I don't know what I'm going to do there yet, but I like these boxes. It kind of breaks up the page. Okay, so I've got the date, I've got my magazine clippings. Maybe I want to use some more of these patterns, but I'll switch colors just to sort of change it up a little, get a little variety. I've got these cool geometric shapes on this one. Yours will look a little bit different, but it's up to you whether or not you'd like to use these. I like to overlap the stencils with some of my magazine clippings. Just makes it feel a little bit more like it's mine when I draw on these. But you do not have to do that. I like these little triangles. I'm gonna put these patterns in here. This process is very freeing to me. I like being able to just draw and doodle and write within one 2-page spread. And then looking back, it's cool because I'm going to have a variety of things in my journal. I'm gonna have pages where I've just written and colored on a page, and then I'll have other pages where they're much more involved and artistic. So I'm gonna bring some more triangles over to this page. I also don't need to use a stencil. If you don't have a stencil, you can be freehanding any types of doodles that you would like to see on your spread. So I'll do that over here. Above the date, I'm going to do these sort of like stars or diamond shapes. I've been really into drawing this little pattern lately. And like I said, whatever I do on one side, I like to incorporate somewhere on the other page in a different way. So maybe over here I'll include some more of those little stars. And like I said, this page is relatively monochromatic, meaning I chose colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. It's analogous. So let's see. I could grab my colored pencils now and add, just to throw one more thing into the mix, I could color in some of those shapes that I had just made using my colored pencils. That is totally up to you. Oh, I like how this looks. I actually really enjoy using colored pencils. I forget about them, but when I use them, I really like them. So I'm just coloring in some of my doodles using the colored pencils that were in my pack. I could grab my other washi tape if I wanted to and add some more tape somewhere. I guess I had a little glue over here because the colored pencils isn't working on top. I could color in my font. I used a little bubble wording to write June, so maybe I'll go ahead and fill that in. I could create a pattern within the colors that I'm using. I was sticking to a more like nautical or ocean theme within this spread because I am so excited that I'm going to get to live near a beach. This is the first time I've lived near a beach, and I'm very excited to be spending the summer near the ocean. So I'm just filling in my bubble letters with colored pencils. If you make a little mistake, please don't get upset. You can always fix something and change it so that whatever mistake you made, it can actually happen for a reason. So maybe I went a little bit out of the lines on the number 12 when I was coloring it in, and I don't like when things are out of line. So maybe I will grab that marker that I was using and just make the numbers a little bit thicker. You can always fix or change or alter your art if you so make a little tiny mistake. And this way it'll be easier to see the number. So the next step is to, if you are done creating the spread, is to think about what it is you want to write on this spread. For me, I just told you that I am excited to be living near the beach this summer. So maybe I will be writing about, in this open space, where I'm living and what I'm excited to be doing this summer, because that's what this whole spread was about. So if it were me, I would start on the left side, because that's how you read from left to right. I would start by filling in this diary entry with what it is this spread was supposed to be about. So I have this space, I have this space, and then I have this space down here. And maybe this little box is for something completely different. Maybe I want to mention that I got chickens, or my dog ate a porcupine. Maybe something completely unrelated is in that box, but the rest of the spread is about the imagery that I have chosen to include in the spread. So this is a different type of journaling, but I wanted to introduce it to you because it is completely different from what we did last week. But that was my goal for this journaling class, is to teach you a variety of ways to use journaling, and then you can figure out what it is that you like to use your journal for. So I'm not going to record myself writing in here because Snoozeville, you don't need to see that, but I want you to know that this is an option for you to use if you like it. So like I said, there are prompts that are on our webpage for you to click on and see if there are some ideas that get you writing. If you don't like those prompts, you can look online yourself. There are so many different journaling prompts that you might relate to more, and that will help you get in the writing process. So like I said, use this blank space to fill it in with your thoughts or your writing in any format. So I hope you enjoyed this. I will see you next week for something completely different. Bye, friends.